I met this crazy lunatic in, where was it, Tucson. And he had pretty long hair, but he said he used to have a lot longer hair. I said, what happened? He said, I mounted it on my hat. And he had what looked like a foxtail. It was his damn hair. Yeah, hey Susan, how you doing? Cindy, CR, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Well, we're going to get started here. I told you I was going to probably keep it a little weird. How's this? Does this look good? Can you see me? Everybody see me okay? You see what I'm looking at on the screen here? Look at all that crap. Well, I'm going to do the unveiling here. First of all, I want to show you my quarantine cut. Check it out. Doesn't that look great? I did it myself. My wife Kay helped me trim up the back, but other than that, it was all flying solo with that. So let's get started. Good to see you, man. Thanks for showing up. Looks like everybody can see me now. Originally, I was going to get this nice, fancy new webcam for this thing, and well, guess what? In the last 2 months, you can't buy a webcam. Everybody's got them sold out. Amazon, eBay, Craigslist. So what you're looking at is my 11-year-old iMac built-in webcam. Still pretty good. You know what? It's fine. It's fine, right? What I'd like to suggest is anytime you want to make a comment, please do so. And there's the dudette. How you doing, Judy? Good to see you. Well, good to see your text anyway. I wish I could see you, but I didn't make it down to the Southwest this year, but I don't know, maybe next year. Yeah, bro, good to see your smiling face too. That's not a real smile. That's fake as hell. Sorry, buddy, I don't buy it. Thanks for being here, and you already know it's a damn party, so let's get on with it. Yeah, I got to come on. I will be posting a recording of this event on YouTube within the next couple of days, and I'll put a link up on my website, gkjurrens.com. First, I just want to tell you, I treasure every reader of books. What I'm shocked is how many people I ask when I want to hand them out a business card. I'm very proud to say I'm an author, whether my author friends or not would subscribe to that as fiction or fantasy or fact. But I always have to ask, do you read? And I'm often get the response, what do you mean read? Well, books. Oh no, I watch YouTube or I watch TV, but I don't read. That pierces the heart to every author when you hear that. So anyway, so anybody who reads a book, and if you're on this broadcast, it's likely that you read, and I thank you for that. What do you say? Let's go. Okay. First of all, I want to just reiterate the purpose of this little party. If you didn't get the memo, it'd be pretty hard not to with how much I broadcast this out, but I was afraid I'd be talking to an empty room, so I'm real happy you guys are here. So it looks like some of you are having trouble getting me live. Now it looks like Julie, got you. Good. Yep. Got your comments. Hey, Carolyn. How you doing, man? Good to see you here. Okay, let's talk about this book. I'm pretty excited about getting this thing done and in the can, as they used to say in the film industry. I call it a thriller because I can, but really the idea is that there's some sexual tension, some violence. People in the book act larger than life. Some don't survive. No spoiler alert needed. They do some things that you and I would not dare while overcoming insurmountable odds. Ethical boundaries get crossed, but for some, honor and integrity defines them, no matter what. There's plenty of conflict, and that creates drama, of course. These characters, many of them are eccentric and flawed. They appear in settings that many of us have not personally experienced, and some rise to the best version of themselves, and some do not. Let's talk about book one in this series, which is Dangerous Dreams. And I want to just set the stage because this is a series, and Fractured Dreams picks up, about 8 years after Dangerous Dreams ended, with many of the same characters. And, with a series, that's kind of comforting to encounter characters that you've grown to know and love, hopefully love, in the previous book. But don't worry, each book stands on its own strong legs. What I'd like to talk about here is that, first of all, I think I advertised this, that this is a BYOB, and hopefully you got your favorite libation with you. But let me just say that here's the deal. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober 8.5 years now. I'm very proud of that. And that also lent authenticity to my high-functioning alcoholic protagonist, Geno Janus, before recovery in Dangerous Dreams and after in Fractured Dreams. So tonight I'm celebrating with a martini. Now, relax. It's just a water and ice martini. However, I haven't forgotten what it's like. And by the same token, I do not begrudge anyone from imbibing in their favorite beverage, even in my presence, even though I can't see you, okay? That twist, that lemon twist, that shaker, you shake it till it's too cold to hold, and by golly, brings back memories. So, the reason I have this is because this is very much in character for Geno Janus in Dangerous Dreams. If you've read the book, you get that. If you haven't, I won't say much more about that. But it was kind of a cause célèbre of mine for a while. I'm producing this show myself, so okay. So here's what I had in mind for tonight. I wanted to provide a little perspective of the series, and I mentioned just a couple of words about Dangerous Dreams and how it led into this current book that we're here to talk about tonight. By the way, I tend to look at myself as opposed to looking at the camera, so forgive me. It's not that I fear eye contact. It's just that I got to remember where the camera is. Okay? So first of all, I'm going to say just a couple more words about a couple of the characters that appear in both books, and that'll provide some perspective for this current book. Second, I'd like to do a little reading. Since this is a book launch party, you expected that, right? And then I'd like to just share a couple of images that provided me inspiration for some of the characters in particularly this current book. And so then I'd like to go in character a little bit, and you'll see. Then we're going to have 2 drawings as advertised. We're going to have then finally a book signing for those of you who purchased books, and for that I thank you very much. All right, so let me just say a couple words about Dangerous Dreams, the first book in my Dream Runners series. So a little background perspective. Geno and Kate Janus are my 2 of my central characters in Dangerous Dreams. As a corporate executive, Geno crosses paths with his corrupt chief operations officer, the guy who reports to the CEO. And coincidentally, I happened to work for a guy like that for a while. Of course, this is a fictitious multinational corporation called Greater Global Solutions. This corporate COO, he's got the lust for power that drives him to treason. Geno discovers this, takes action, and becomes a hunted man, but not by whom he thought. While his friends in high places try to protect him, ongoing confrontations put him and his close friends, who also happen to be a handful of his 1,000 or so employees, in harm's way. Will Geno emerge unscathed or even survive? Well, he will because he's in book 2, right? Okay, so meanwhile, treasonous players within elite DC circles weave intrigue between threads of corporate corruption and outright sedition that threatens the very fabric of democracy. Yeah, big stakes. It's a big deal. With Geno's help, and in book 1 he called himself George. It's kind of, names are kind of a big thing with this guy. You'll find out why later. But with his help from the sidelines, a retired U.S. intelligence executive and a small group of what I call air pirates partner with an elite military team. They take center stage to strike a blow to the heart of this nefarious shadow organization's designs on Lady Liberty. This shadow organization is called the Patriot Brotherhood, albeit somewhat misguided. I'd like to just move on to the book we're here to talk about tonight, Fractured Dreams. Our story begins, like I said, 8 years after Dangerous Dreams ends, with reappearances of many of the same characters from Dangerous Dreams. A bit worse for wear, some worse, some not as worse, not as worser, along with some quirky new characters that I think are a lot of fun. First, allow me to read a couple of things from the dedication page. And because I live in two worlds like many of you, I write and read both fiction and nonfiction. But as I write fiction, you other fiction authors will get this. The line between the two can become somewhat gray, puce color, I don't know. But this book is dedicated to all you dreamers and to you realists who pay the bills. To one in particular, keep reminding me of the difference between fiction and all that other stuff. On a more serious note, as I pound through this, the final stages, editorial stages prior to launch, thousands of you are placing yourselves in harm's way right now, so the rest of us can cling to some sense of new normalcy during this global pandemic. During these uncertain times, with all humility, I especially dedicate this book to each of you in healthcare, emergency first responders, the sciences, and all who face scary unknowns every day under lousy circumstances, so the rest of us of our lives can at least creep along. You provide myriad products, services, and transportation, and yes, political leadership too. A brighter day dawns today because of you all. Thanks to each of you from the depths of my undeserving but grateful heart. God bless every single one of us, deserving or not. I revised that dedication recently because of what's going on, and it I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I've been in this, I call it my domestic bunker here, for about the last 4 months, and I get out for some bike rides and some walks, and that's about it. And grocery shopping. So many people are doing what needs to be done. We had a lovely plumber here today replace our water heater, and we were trying to remain socially distant in a narrow hallway, and it wasn't always working. And he thought I was a little crazy for having my mask on in the condo. Tough. So I'd like to just read the introduction to this book, because I think it'll help further set the stage. I had to remember, after 8.5 years, I had to remember how to cut the fancy twists with just the right amount of pith in them. I couldn't remember how to do that, so Kay reminded me. Introduction, Fractured Dreams, is the second book in the Dream Runner series. If you've read the first book, Dangerous Dreams, you will re-intercept several of your favorite characters, plus a few more you haven't met yet, such as a renegade tribe of quirky desert rats who call themselves the Lunatic Fringe. I'll tell you a story about that later, maybe, if there's time, and if you want to hear it. Each book also stands strong on its own. For most of us, not only do our dreams seem fractured in time and perception as we sleep, but we blend our daily experiences with memories of the past and visions for our future after we awaken. My sincerest and cogent dream, fractured or not, is to hope you enjoy your time spent immersed in the interwoven stories of these provocative characters. Try to appreciate the broad range of eccentricities and ambitions of those whom you are about to meet. As you travel through this story, enjoy becoming acquainted with some old friends from Dangerous Dreams too. I draw inspiration from fascinating people we meet in our travels. Are you also able to relate to one or more of them? That is my second dream. Are you ready to start running this leg of your journey? If so, let's go! I know we've got the Midwest represented, the West Coast, the Deep South. Well, wait, I guess some people don't consider Florida the Deep South. It's something else. Tucson. Wow, you guys are awesome. Let me run through this synopsis real quick. It's just a few hundred words, but it kind of sets the stage for the entire book, and then we can talk about it a little bit later. Hey, how you doing, Steve? I love your profile picture, man. Oh. All right, synopsis, Fractured Dreams. George, or Geo, and Kate Janice return in this book. They hide in plain sight to avoid a bullet to the brain. Geo learns to ask the dead for advice, some of which is quite good, when it's forthcoming, that is, and which are conjured by the traumatic brain injury he manages with some success. As a veteran, a business executive who retired early, a best-selling author, and now a notorious podcaster, Geo fights the same battle every minute of every day. But nights are far worse, no more so than in the blast furnace of the Arizona desert in the summer. 8 years ago, pulling a trigger to take a human life in the tropics altered Geo's mind. At the same time, a near-lethal blow to the base of his skull changed his body. Janice awakes, swinging at Kate with clenched fists, and hates himself for it. And he pretends arthritis causes his back pain, his limp, and the headaches. Now he and his wife fear discovery by the Patriot Brotherhood. A death sentence. But there is more at stake than their safety: national security. Friends in high places need Geo's help again to defeat the Brotherhood and to defend democracy. He will serve once more. The risks be damned. Some of my heroes are guys like Vince Flynn and Brad Thor and Lee Child and some of those lone wolf spy kind of guys. So there's a little bit of that in my books. So there are two major venues: Washington, D.C. and its environs, where a select few politically motivated characters act out their ambitions and vices, and various Arizona RV parks, along with more informal gatherings in the desert, I call them. So let's talk about the book itself and its genesis. Like Dangerous Dreams, Fractured Dreams is a hardcover-like trim size, 6 by 9 inches. So for example, you can see relative to the size of my hand. Fractured Dreams is about 380 pages in print, includes an also buy in the back, offering a preview of my next book, a near-future science fiction thriller called Beneath the Mayhem. If you're a subscriber to my email list, you've already received a free Kindle edition copy of this book, and some of you I know have read it. I've also received some nice comments about that book. You're probably also wondering why I mix subgenres. I call both of these books thrillers, but Beneath the Mayhem is a near-future science fiction book, whereas Fractured Dreams I call a contemporary thriller. So this is where I think it gets a little interesting. As I said, Geo Janice is one of my major protagonists in this book and the last book, but toward the end of his career in the last book, that he now has grown into a new career. He's now a successful author and podcaster, as I mentioned. The year is 2016, and for 8 years he's in hiding under the government witness protection issue name of Lee Randall. Like I said, this guy is big into his names. The Patriot Brotherhood wants retribution for his role in their partial but massive exposure in 2008. That was the central plot of Dangerous Dreams. So despite all that, he publishes his shows under yet another pseudonym. Yeah, I know. What is with this guy? He's super paranoid. Geo develops an almost cult-like following to his weekly fiction podcast. Yeah, I live vicariously through some of my characters. I'm thinking about producing a podcast, but I've got about 3 more books to launch first. So he produces his podcast remotely from his motorhome, and he calls his show Redemption Alley. I won't say any more about that, but it becomes part of how he defines himself. An old adage, you become what you believe. As for the provocative content of The Alley, this podcast revolves around the misadventures of a socially conscious investigative journalist named Zea French in the year 2048. So that meant flipping the narrative frequently with flashbacks and flash forwards between 2016, that's represented in Fractured Dreams, and 2048, that was part of Fractured Dreams, and now became this new book, Beneath the Mayhem. But I didn't know that. I didn't have that wisdom in my pocket at that time. Just my beta readers were saying, "What are you trying to do here? This is crazy." Besides, Fractured Dreams was almost 600 pages long, and if you know about anything about the publishing business, it charged by the page. So the book became very expensive to publish, and it wasn't reasonable to price it at a point where they would pay. So I was in trouble, and I had to figure out exactly what I was going to do about all this. So I made a tough decision. The first thing I did was split the manuscript into two books, Fractured Dreams and Beneath the Mayhem. One was contemporary, one was near future. So that Beneath the Mayhem is actually a compilation of the contents of Geno's Fractured Dreams podcasts. Not that any of this matters, because they're two different books, and they read just fine. This feedback is, they're good reads, they're fun reads, but I just thought you might like a peek behind the purple curtain a little bit. So this book, Beneath the Mayhem, is a risky experiment, but so far it's turning out quite well, and it's getting a reasonably good response. So like I said, it features the antics of rogue journalist and podcaster Zea French, and that book has evolved into the first of my Mayhem series, the second of which is called Beyond the Mayhem. This is some prototype cover art that may or may not end up being the final cover. But like I said, if you're one of my subscribers on my email list, and you can go to my site gkjurrens.com and sign up. There's a sign up form that pops up. If you've already done so, you received Beneath the Mayhem as a bribe to subscribe. Some of you have read it, and the feedback I've gotten has been pretty good. But that book won't remain free once it's published. I'm planning on publishing that this summer yet. So if you already have a copy of Beneath and have other questions or comments for me, please let me know. I'd love to hear good, bad. If you thought it stunk, I need to know that too, right? It's important for authors to get honest feedback. But I would love to engage with you if you have feedback. But seriously, for tonight, our focus is Fractured Dreams. While Fractured Dreams is a contemporary story, and I call Beneath a near-future science fiction, they do both actually fit into the thriller genre within two different but related series. So I call them thrillers, however you might think of them. A little behind-the-scenes info on the two major characters. Oh, hi Cynthia, welcome. Glad you're here. So, who is this guy Geno, for example? Besides a Manhattan-bound Minnesota boy, from the cornfields of Minnesota. I've got a couple of images that I just share with you. Every reader crafts an image of their own, of their characters in their own mind, and I hate to put that in jeopardy, but I thought you might appreciate the inspiration for this guy. This is a guy that was climbing the corporate ladder. He was ruthless. We mentioned crossing ethical boundaries. That was this guy, and went a long way toward crafting the character of Geno Janus. Big surprise, right? So, but a couple of decades later, that same guy might have looked something like this. So you can see that while the facial hair notwithstanding, there's a very different demeanor about these two guys. I won't say any more about that, but my character in the book is suffering from two issues with which I have had some experience. Hey Gomer, how you doing, man? Appreciate you being here. Oh, hi Greg. Glad you're here too. Yeah, again, I appreciate all you guys being here. This is a tremendous show of support. I really appreciate it. So at any rate, this guy, the protagonist of this book, I can't get my finger straight there, of this book is suffering from two issues. One is post-traumatic stress, and the other is a traumatic brain injury. PTSD was triggered by several of his friends being murdered by a serial killer. Although a pacifist his entire life, even through 4 years of government service, he's haunted by those violent deaths of those close to him and the attempts on both his life and his wife Kate's. My experience didn't go quite as far as having friends murdered, but I was personally stalked by a disgruntled employee for several months, and for those of you who know me, I am not a gun guy at all. I respect those of you who are, but I just have never taken to guns. I was trained with them in the service, and but I got shot at a number of times, but never was wounded, thank goodness. But I'll tell you, I've never been comfortable around firearms. But for those few months, I kept a loaded 12 gauge in my bedroom, and it affected me. And I found this stalker sitting in his shitty old white Cadillac half a block down the street on several evenings. And every time I'd call the police, he would be gone before the prowlers would arrive. Fiction is all about taking what happens and making it larger than life. Toward the end of Dangerous Dreams, for the first time though, my character Geno is forced to pull a trigger on another human being. No spoiler questions, please. Hey Michelle, how you doing? Good to see you here. Thank you for coming. So yeah, this guy struggles with issues, both with PTSD and TBI. But despite all of that, he rises to the occasion to once again help a few friends in high places for duty and honor. And I've had the privilege of knowing several people who their duty and their honor define who they are to their core. And I've always respected the hell out of that. What I'd like to do before I go any further is to just share a couple of images that inspired the world of this itinerant gypsy known as Jurrens, he and his wife have been living in this bus for 8 years, running from a bunch of nefarious characters who want to see them dead. First of all, you might envision that he could have lived in something like this. Yeah, this is a picture of our old gal, and it's an old coach. It's 15 years old, but on our way out west a few years ago, we stopped along the way in places like Utah and Nevada and New Mexico, and this is the coach, and you can see behind her is our 29-foot trailer. We're illegal in almost every state, but nobody seems to care. So that's a very good thing. We encountered a bunch of really fascinating people. Some were similar in lifestyle to us, and others were less so. We were by no means living in poverty or frugality at all. We were staying in the nicest places, and so that tended to limit my research, if you will. I really enjoy talking to people that come from very different backgrounds. So we ended up discovering some really wonderful people. Yeah, Cindy, it really is. These fascinating people that we met, I tend to be more of more curious than my lovely wife Kay, but people that lived in homes like the Pink Flamingo. She named her home the Pink Flamingo. Or the lengths to which they would go to personalize their homes, just like we do in sticks and bricks dwellings. So look at this interior. This is an old little gypsy trailer that just is fascinating. I went to a place, out in the desert beyond Quartzsite, Arizona. It was, I couldn't even tell you where it was. Somebody invited me and gave me the GPS coordinates, and I found my way out there. Damn near wrecked my little Toyota Yaris getting out there, but I made it, and had to have some work done on it after that. But I met this fascinating guy named Bob Wells. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, but he's kind of a well-known figure in a certain segment of the RV community. He runs thanks for the hearts and thumbs up, guys. That's wonderful. There's a derivative of this guy in Fractured Dreams, a very cleverly named by fictional character Bob Fell. Sort of ingenious, huh? I met this guy, and he runs a website called cheaprvliving.com. This is Bob, and he's just a delightful character. Bob and a few of his buddies, I met the first ever Navy SEAL, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name, but he was a member of the Navy underwater demolition teams when they invented the SEALs. Now, I hope I got this substantively right, but you got to remember I do write fiction. Bob and this gentleman and a few like him, devout conservationists. They minimize their footprint on the planet. I mean, the whole thing. Walden Pond, they sit around and quote that. They cluster a circle around a campfire, and it's just a delightful environment, and the people are just wonderful. And a lot of them tended to be flute aficionados. Now, I talk about flutes in Fractured Dreams, and it ends up being one of Geo Janis's signature hallmarks. Not that he's any good at playing them, but he's around people who are tolerant enough of his playing that they simply are kind. So, oh, thanks, April. I appreciate the comment. So, for those of you who are fluters, help me out, Ira. What would Gomer? What would we call that? Those who are flute players and flute makers, you wonderful batch of people. I just love you guys. They have a symbol. It's an old First Nation native symbol, and I'm not sure. He tends to be called the mischievous. What is it? The adventurous mischief maker, or something like that. His name is Kokopelli. And this is kind of the symbol for Kokopelli, and very often we'll see him in a flute, playing a flute. But just a wonderful part of the culture that I tended to try and explore a little bit in Fractured Dreams. And hopefully you guys that are from that area don't be too harsh with me. We're all in different points in our journey. Are we not, Gomer? Sorry I got a little long-winded. For those of you who know me, brevity is not one of my character defects. So for that, I apologize. Hey, Jerry, welcome. Oh, from the Voyager Flute Circle. Awesome. Glad you're here. Thank you for coming. And if I've missed anybody in the comments, I apologize. There's quite a few. Let's move on about another character who's kind of the hero in both Dangerous Dreams and Fractured Dreams. His name is Sam Braxton. You won't see this in the book, but you'll see that he's another major protagonist in both the Dream Runners books. But Sam is based on a true, larger-than-life little man who I considered a dear friend. The real world Sam retired, and his name wasn't Sam, retired from the National Security Agency as their chief medical director. Well, I learned years later that translated into #1 worldwide interrogator and consultant. So this is a pretty heavy-duty guy, but you'd never know what to look at him. As I thought about writing this character, Colonel Dr. Samuel F. Braxton, I realized I may never have known the real Sam's real name. I've only known a few people from the intelligence community, and Sam was my first, and he really popped my cherry. He wouldn't talk much until we had known each other for years. We've very rarely met. We talked via email, telephone. He was moving around, I was moving around, but we remained friends. But my impression, he was a bit of a legend at the agency. Now, he would never say that, but he often went what he calls in country with his wife and partner. And by the way, I knew another couple like that. My wife's uncle was a banker. He calls himself a banker for the OSS, which some of you probably know is the predecessor to the CIA. He and his partner, his wife, often traveled behind enemy lines during World War II, funding the resistance in France and elsewhere, Belgium, Netherlands. I think Kay's uncle also defined a piece of my portrayal of Sam. such are the meanderings of an author's mind. For those of you who write, you know what it's about. So Sam, slight in stature, but carved from the hardest stone in Fractured Dreams, is not only defined by a sense of honor, integrity, and duty, he is also an unlikely but plausible dear friend of Geo's. He was old in Dangerous Dreams, and he's ancient in Fractured Dreams. Fluties. Thank you, Ira. It sounded funny, but we're a bunch of pretty funny guys and gals anyway, so I appreciate the help. Gail, thank you. Another Flutie from the Voyager Flute Circle. For those who don't know, Voyager is this wonderful RV resort, kind of ground zero for fluties in Arizona, outside of Tucson, and is one of the major venues actually in this book, Fractured Dreams. I was talking about Sam and the character in Fractured Dreams. He was old in Dangerous Dreams, but he's really old in this book. But he's one of those unforgettable heroes, no matter how slight their stature or advanced age. I just love crafting characters from real people, because there's, the old saying, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's wonderful. And so they say, be careful what you say to an author, because you might end up in their next novel. Let's talk a little bit. I just wanted to give you a little background on two major characters in both books, and to me they're endearing, and hopefully they are to you as well. So let's talk about the tickets that some of you acquired. Excuse me, I need to take a little break here. Oh, my water martini is getting warm, unforgivable. We used to say that when it actually had alcohol in it, we call it alcohol abuse. Now it's just H2O abuse, I guess. This was my first Facebook Live broadcast. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm making this up as I go, gang. But I also used an event manager. It's a fancy title for this company who provides a service to people who do Facebook Facebook Live events in grandiose fashion. Being the writer that I am, dramatize everything. Yeah, I'm a drama queen. I call Eventbrite my event manager. Pretty cool, huh? But if you got a ticket, if you went to the hassle of getting a ticket, and many of you did, thank you, it makes you eligible for a drawing. And with the drawing comes a prize. It's a free book. Well, now it's a Kindle edition of Dangerous Dreams. That's not free if you go to Amazon or Kobo or Barnes & Noble or wherever. So you're eligible to win an ebook edition of Dangerous Dreams in the format you choose. Kindle, Apple iBook, Nook, Google Play, Kobo, PDF, whatever. They're all. I've got them all on my book funnel, sales funnel manager, book funnel. Great company, by the way. So that's great. You're eligible for a free Kindle edition or ebook. Some of you optionally paid $20 for a ticket, and that means you already purchased your first edition, signed by the author, copy of Fractured Dreams, and I thank you for that. First edition, signed by the author. That makes it a little special, doesn't it? So at any rate, yes, Cindy, thank you. For example, your paid ticket also entered you into the free drawing, and we're going to have two drawings, 1 and 2. Drawing 1, I draw your names from a white hat. Drawing 2, I draw your names from a black hat. It's a very special black hat, though. It doesn't make you a villain, just makes you special because you paid $20. Thank you again. Your paid ticket enters you into drawing 1 as well as drawing 2. Signed paperback copy of Fractured Dreams, but you're also get the opportunity to win a free ebook edition of Dangerous Dreams. That's all very complex. I'll try to cover it and explain it a little bit better later, but you get the idea. But I'm getting ahead of myself, which happens a lot. What I'd like to do is introduce my guest, Geo Janis, who has generously agreed to share with us a few thoughts. So with that, and without any further ado, allow me to introduce Geno Jurrens. Howdy, y'all. Happy to be here. Thanks so much, Gene. I appreciate the introduction. I'd like to just explain a little bit about what my passion is, and one of many. One of them is Native American style flutes. I really like the instrument. It's a great meditative instrument, and it's just a balm to the soul, a soothing salve to the soul. I have several flutes that I'm very proud of, some of which I purchased and some of which I made. This is one I made out of clear maple and decorated it in a traditional style. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But it's a wonderful mellow flute that of my own design. Sorry, you traditionalists, I added my own thumb rest, so I can rest my thumb there like that. See if it'll get a sound. Yeah, it works. So that's one of my homemade ones. And then got several by other folks that I either knew or have met. But let me just do a little experiment for you, and bear with me if this doesn't work quite right. So you get the idea. They're wonderful instruments, and I appreciate you putting up with me. I'm still a raw hack, but one last thing, and this is an old boy that I call my wounded warrior. This baby's huge, and I made it out of a yucca stalk that I harvested myself. And I'll tell you, it's not tuned very well. I can't play with anybody else because it just doesn't match anybody else's flute. It's not in a particular key. But you know what? I love my old wounded warrior, because this doggone thing, it just, I can drift away. I can drift away. I can drift away. I'll try to get a few notes out of her and see if she's feeling good today. It is what it is, and every one of these things has its own character, its own personality, and you fluties know that. And I'm just damn glad to be a part of all this, and glad that you would share it with me. Thank you. Gail, hey, thank you. Oh, Laura, bless you, my daughter. Yeah, you're right, Don. Every party needs a musical guest. Whether or not he's any good at what he does. By the way, did you like what you heard? I mean, was it with your time? Oh, please. No, please. What I'd like to do now is look at the drawings and see what we've got going on here. Drawing 1. Remember, it included those of you who got free and paid tickets. Well, thanks for the hearts, you guys. Hearts and thumbs up, and even some tears. Holy cow! We say that in the Midwest. Even though I'm in Southwest Florida right now, I'm still a Midwesterner. But drawing 1, that's going to be out of my trusty old white sailing hat. My Tilly hat. It floats. It's badly stained. These are badges of honor, badges of courage. Drawing 1 out of the white hat is a reminder, the winner gets a free ebook edition of Dangerous Dreams. Okay, and those of you who got free tickets and paid tickets are all in this hat. So I'm going to draw a name, and I'm not going to look. And here we go. It's, oh, Dale, are you here? Dale, there you are. All right. Guess what? You won drawing 1. Congratulations. So, Dale? Yeah, I know. It's good. It's great. Okay, and now for drawing 2, which is just for the paid tickets. Okay, and we have several in here. And look at this hat. Isn't this marvelous? That is my Wizard of Oz hat. I'd put it on if there weren't a bunch of names in here. So, reminder, drawing 2 is just for the paid tickets, and the winner of this drawing gets a free signed paperback edition of Dangerous Dreams, in addition to the signed paperback edition of Fractured Dreams that your ticket originally paid for. So, without further ado, I'm going to mix these up, and some of them are kind of crumpled up, and I'm going to do this. Okay, so, all right, I got a winner. Let's see, it's, oh, my friend Cindy Finkelstein. Hey, Cindy. All right. Congratulations. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Well, congratulations, Dale and Cindy, and hope you enjoy your books. We're going to get on to the book signing now, which is a traditional part of the, I'm just looking at some of the comments. Yeah, Rod, Black Rock, man. One of the major venues in the book. Oh, thanks for the comment, Don. Cover art, appreciate it. I think I do give a shout out to my cover designer later, but if in case I don't or I forget, Elizabeth Mackey of Elizabeth Mackey Designs, wonderful. She really knows how to catch readers' eyes, and so shout out to Elizabeth. I can't do 2 things at one time. Oh, Cindy, yes. Well, you're going to get 2. Oh, okay. At any rate, let's move on. You're so generous with the comments. I appreciate that. Let's move on to the signing, and I think I'm going to cover something that you might find a little interesting. There's a tradition around book signing, and if you own a signed book, a book signed by the author, it does make it a little special. I have a few that I treasure, and there's a story behind every one, how you met, and what you know about the book that isn't in the book because you talked to the author, you know, that sort of thing. And you all are getting a little bit of that tonight from this most famous author you never heard of, and probably won't ever unless you know me from some other. Anyway, so there is a politically correct way to sign a book. Yeah, and there's not just one. There's many, or at least 2 or 3. And that is, it was originally a very strong tradition, because when you had books on a small run press, in other words, a publisher or a printer only printed a few books of a particular author's book, to get one of those signed was very, very special. It made it a collector's item. You've heard the book about the term about antique books called first editions, and you know, you get a first edition of Edgar Allan Poe, my gosh, the thing would be worth millions. And if it had a signature, it would be worth tens of millions. So I'm not sure my books will ever be worth more than what you pay for them, but you never know. So some authors are adamant about crossing out their printed name. For example, in Dangerous Dreams, I would cross out my printed name before I would sign my signature. That was the only way to do it. Well, as the decades wore on and the tradition of the small run press faded into history, that became less of a tradition. Some now feel crossing out anything in a book desecrates the book. It's different if it's a nonfiction reference book and you're highlighting and margin notes and all that, but some authors just underline their printed name with an arrow down to their signature. It says, "This is me." I just personally sign the darn thing with a bit of a message to personalize it in the book. That works. There is no wrong way to do it anymore. Having said that, Cindy, I will need to make sure that I have your snail mail address so that I can, ship you your books. And whoever else bought a Fractured Dreams copy, just shoot me an email. I'll flash up my email logo in just a moment, but I just need to know where to send the books. The best laid plans? Even with expedited shipping, my first carton of Fractured Dreams copies were held up at the printer, but I'm told they're arriving within 72 hours. They're in the mail. My fault. I should not have assumed business as usual or anything close to it in these crazy times. So to each of you to whom I owe a paperback or two, I'll shoot them off to you via media mail the same day I receive them. Now I have Dangerous Dreams copies here, so I can sign a copy of Dangerous Dreams. Isn't that cover art lovely? Elizabeth really did a fine job on that. And so with that, I would like to sign a copy of Dangerous Dreams, and I'm going to do it on a small slip of paper that I will faithfully reproduce into the book when I'm less rattled by all of you folks watching me. To Cindy, my new friend. This is the very first signed copy of Fractured Dreams on planet Earth. And I promise I'll reproduce that when the damn book comes. And I will. I also need to sign a copy for Mark Mangus and Michelle Schumacher. Thank you guys for buying a copy here at the party. I'm going to make these more personal than I would if I was just, I'm not even sitting in a bookstore. I'm sitting in my den, but I really want to make those signatures a little special. So I will take the time to do that for you, Michelle, and for you, Mark. And many thanks again for buying the books. Gomer, dude, nice. Wow. I love it. If you don't know me very well, I possess a monumental ego, and I'm a work in progress. But in the meantime, if you got them, smoke them. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Oh, and Michelle, thank you so much for showing up, and you have a great night too. Take care. So, and by the way, if you have to bolt, please feel free to do so. We're not quite done. I got a couple of more things to show you, and let's get on with that. Anytime you have any comments or questions, always I'd love to hear them, and I will study these. Look at all these comments after the fact when I'm not on the spot. I see a few of you are reintroducing yourselves to each other, having no longer being in the same part of the country, because a lot of us move around. So that's cool. That's very nice. I would like to just show you a couple of overlays here, some URLs, and one of you was kind enough to say, hey, I've been to other book launch events, and we never knew what was where. So I'm putting up a lot of information on the screen here, and I'm just going to go ahead and talk for a bit, because you can look at these if you want to get a copy of Dangerous Dreams. I just put up a couple of the major retailers: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books. Amazon, I've used a URL shortener to kind of shorten up their huge web address for getting to the book. You can also go to Amazon and just search in Amazon for G.K. Jurrens, and then you'll see all the books that I've got up there. Right now, I pulled a couple of them because they need to be re-edited and relaunched. And my dear friend Judy Howard taught me how to do that. Relaunch. That's of Judy Howard Publishing. Judy, I love you. If any more questions or comments as we, oh, Diane, sweetheart, thank you. For reference, these are the URLs for Dangerous Dreams, Fractured Dreams, and my website with books, blog, and buffoonery, I call it. Just for your information, I'm splitting my website, gkjurrens.com, into two websites. One is going to remain that, and that's going to be primarily for readers and authors who are looking for reading ideas, because I'll be reviewing other books that I draw inspiration from. The other one is going to be called uplifepress.com, and that's going to be primarily for publishers and for authors. I'm trying to build a little community around each of those, and you guys, man, you're just welcome as hell. So thank you for being here, and again, thanks for purchasing the books to Cindy, Mark, and Michelle, and there's just too many of you guys. Let me just see if I can catch all of you guys. Ira, Kieta, I haven't seen you. Did you make a comment, my friend? Please comment so I know that you're there. I'd love to hear from you. Kieta is a flute maker, extraordinary teacher, and I caught a couple of his seminars in Arizona and learned so much about making flutes. And in fact, Kieta, here's yours, buddy. There it is if you're here. If you're not, you can maybe catch this on a recording. I'm very proud of this flute, and it's one of my favorites. Anyway, you get the idea. The Kieta, if you're here, yeah, let's connect, man. I really appreciate it. You still owe me a piece of lightning-struck saguaro cactus to make a bird for one of my flutes. I haven't forgotten. You probably was hoping I would. Once more, congratulations to Cindy and Dale. Sorry. And thanks for showing up and for buying tickets. Ira, Kieta, Dale, Julia, Carol, Laura, Greg, and Diane. I think there's a number of you that showed up that I just am so thankful for the support, the show of support, and hopefully it wasn't a total bust you Tuesday evening. I was warned not to do this on a weekend because I'd probably be talking to an empty room. So thanks again. And again, I'm always at author1@gkjurrens.com if you ever want to give me comments on a book and or whatever. Does anybody have any more? Oh. Yes, Susan. Yes, dear. I'll say. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Michelle. I sure appreciate your support. You're a good kid. By the way, I'm 70 years old. Anybody younger than me is a kid. So I'm making an assumption. Great. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Yeah, Cindy, Elizabeth did an amazing job on those covers. Glad to see some of you guys are connecting here, and I'm glad to have been a conduit, if nothing else. Maybe this is awesome. Oh, and Cynthia, thanks for the comment. Oh, well, I'm not going to spend any more time going through these. Oh, Laura, thank you so much for the comment. I appreciate it, and appreciate your bit of a review on a couple of the books. That's awesome. One last chart and we're done. And unless you have some more comments. Oh, Gail, bless you, my dear. I chopped the ponytail off. When we learned we were going to have to stay the summer in South Florida, I thought, you know what? By the way, the beard used to be about a foot longer too. I grow hair where I can. You can obviously, it's not up here, kids. All right, where was I? Oh yeah, one last thing that I want to talk about. That's my ARC team. Authors tend to try and get advanced readers, skilled readers who are willing to read their books a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of weeks, 3 weeks before publication, to catch that last doggone typo that's invisible to both authors and editors, or to make some comment about, wait a minute, you've got a serious plot hole here that nobody's caught, or whatever, or just to enjoy the book and hopefully, and to make some comments then turn into a book review. And best of all, if you're willing and able to just write a sentence to a couple of paragraphs of a brief review of your impressions of the book. God, I love the way the characters, this Dent Canfield was a villain I love to hate, or I'm surprised that so-and-so and this person didn't get together, or whatever. Whatever your impressions are, you guys, you're the readers. This is who my readers are going to listen to, is you. So anything you can do toward that end, I just will offer you free, all of my books free in Kindle editions, because I still got to eat. But if you have some comments or whatever, and if you don't, that's fine. But if you write a brief review and post it, or email it to me, if you don't want to post it on Amazon or Goodreads or Kobo, I'll send you my next book free. And you comment or review on that one, you get the one after that free. It's kind of a, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You get free books and I get reviews. And it's important for authors to get reviews at the date that the book appears on Amazon or wherever. That lends credibility. People are more likely to select it, and so forth. So that's a big deal. Hey, Diana, thanks for joining. Thank you very much. And so if you want to be on my ARC team, just shoot me an email to author1@gkjurrens.com. Tell me you want to be on the team, and I'll put your name on the list, so that anytime I come up with a new book, I'll shoot a free copy to you. And it can take as little as an hour or two. If you don't even have to read the whole book, just read the beginning, the middle, and the end, so you get a sense of it. Yeah, I'm getting excited. So at any rate, that's it. If you have any other questions or comments, I'll stay on the side here for a little bit. One last thing is I'm going to go ahead and just put up the last slide, which is, it's going to shut off comments. But before and kind of see us all off to our merry switch from our daytime pajamas to our nighttime pajamas, if you're still bunkered down like we are. I just wanted to add here, oh, Rod, thanks so much. This is my baby brother. What, Rod, you're only what? I'm not going to say your age, but he's younger than me. Yeah, and you're welcome on Cristobal. We got a lot of rain, and now it's all yours, brother. Oh, before I put up the last slide, which is going to see us off and cut the camera off, but it's going to provide maybe a little more entertainment. Stick around for that, just a couple minutes if you want, where you're going to see Geo Janis, 60 pounds heavier, playing his flute in his trailer behind the motorhome. And I honestly can't remember where we were parked, but somewhere in the Southwest. So, but before I do, what a cool summary. 38 thumbs up, 18 hearts, 13 tears, OMG, and 3 sad faces. I assume that, oh, I see. Yeah, for Cristobal. Whatever. At least you maybe get a few tornadoes up there, brother, but you're not going to get 17 named storms down here in the next 4 months. So we've got our flashlights and our cases of beans and our jugs of water. So have fun, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And again, thank you so much for showing up, and I do appreciate it. and I've got a sign up here that says, look up here at the camera, not down here. So I'm trying to make eye contact, but sometimes I forget. Great, thanks again, and enjoy this next couple of minutes, or sign off, or whatever. And I do appreciate you hanging around. And again, congratulations to Dale and Cindy, and thanks for all of you who have purchased books in whatever format. Maybe I can have oatmeal tomorrow instead of water on my cold cereal. Ooh. Yeah, no way. You get it. Starving artists and all that rot. Namaste. Good night, all, and thank you again for showing up.